Hi everyone. I bet I know what you're thinking. That I was gonna chicken out again. But I didn't. I've just been really busy, and then some unfortunate life events happen that everyone has to deal with. So it seems like I have been on the go every single day for 3 months. And then today, I don't have anywhere to be. I don't have to go to a nursing home and visit anybody. I don't have anything to do for work. So you know what, darn it, I'm gonna film a Flosstube video. I mean, it's only been 3 months. So I have a ton to show you. From whips to FFOs to fair results to save the stitches that I actually found and some new starts, haul. That's a full video. For some people it might take long, but how fast I talk, it might only take 10 minutes. So the best place to start would be my FFOs and fair fund, since a lot were my previous whips. The first two didn't go to the fair, and if I'm talented enough, they should be displaying somewhere around here. And if not, I'll enter a picture right now. But they are some flat folds and some frames. The first one you've already seen. I just got my lazy butt to finish the flat fold. Like the last time I did a video, I got my lazy butt motivated to do the stitching. But it was the chicken from the magazine Ultimate Cards, a British magazine, and it is by Leslie Heaton. And I just did that on a mystery piece of fabric, and I framed it with a Mill Hill frame that I found at my L&S. The second was a haul, a new start, and a finish, all within 2 weeks. I knew my cousin was going to get married soon, at some point, but I always thought he and his partner were going to get married in Las Vegas. Probably, they said they wanted to get married around New Year's Eve. Well, they decided they were going to get married quickly with a justice of the peace, and they told us on a Sunday, and it was 2 weeks from then. So I quickly hopped on 123, thinking, well, before I thought I had a lot of time, so I didn't have anything picked out. So I quickly hopped on 123 and found this little pattern. It is called Two Become One by Heart and Hand. And I think it's a pretty good one for two guys. I mean, it doesn't have a bridal gown or anything. So I got it with the called for threads and the little charm, but with the date being where it was, I had to put the charm right in the middle here, on the bottom leaves. And I got an interesting tip when I went to Hobby Lobby to pick out a frame. I had a choice of two different frames. One was a nice gold, but also on the kind of gaudy side. But it picked up the stitching, especially the colors of these leaves here, perfectly. I mean, beautifully. But it looked good, but it didn't look good on the same side of the coin. And then the one that I ultimately chose, which you can hopefully be seeing or have already saw, it was just simple, plain and simple. So I was hemming and hawing. I quickly put it up on Stitch Mania to see if people could answer real quick, and was getting mixed results on that. I, took a picture and sent it to some people. And then this lady came up and saw me. She goes, "You're having a rough decision on something, aren't you?" And I, of course, go, "Yes." So she told me, and this was fabulous advice. She said, don't think of it as something that will go in this house, because everything in this Hobby Lobby can go into somebody's house. I mean, Hobby Lobby, as you know, is chock full of it. So everything we can put somewhere in our house. Now, it may not be the person's personality. So the best thing to do if you're trying to figure out if a particular person will like something is to picture the person or the couple personally holding it. And it clicked right there. Yep, I don't see my cousin and his partner with this gold frame, so it's the brown one. So now on to fair fun. Like I said, I rush a lot and talk fast. It's only been 5 minutes. So our fair is Labor Day weekend, and I had 3 entries in the fair. I had all single color stitchery. I had 3 cross stitch ornaments, and I finished a pillow. I'm getting some lint off the one. The first one that didn't do so well was the single color stitchery. The reason it didn't get, well, first off, you might say, oh, it did do good because it got second, but it was only out of 2. But she was nice and polite and didn't disqualify it, because in the category it was supposed to be wall hangings. And if you remember from my first video, it's a flat fold. So I kind of got a little upset at the judge. I mean, she was very, very good and informative, but she sat there and went, "This isn't a wall hanging," and I just wanted to sit there and was like, "Get your hands off it." But it was in the wall hanging category. So she did say the stitching was beautiful. And the verse was, of course, good. I mean, it's nice and cheesy verse. But it got second because it didn't get disqualified. The ornaments that I thought were going to do well also didn't do that good. They ended up getting third out of 4. Oh, also the flat fold was done from an updated version from a 1990s book. It's The Thought That Counts. And if you want to laugh at a book, that's a good book to laugh at. But it has very nice patterns in it. So let me take these apart. Kept them all in a bag because I had plans on filming, just life got busy. Oh, and of course I dropped one. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. And of course, me getting back, I brought a friend. That's Jack. So where was I? Other than dropping him on the floor. They are, well, you think I would have been prepared after pausing the video. These were the 3 ornaments that I ended up putting in. And I did finish them as little ornaments, little stockings. So they open up. The reason they got third are for 2 reasons. The first reason is, I mean, they're kind of small. It's kind of hard to get your finger in. And I thought they would have been good, fine, just like this. But our judge was a good judge, like I said. So she wanted these stockings finished on the inside. So I didn't. I'm kind of stubborn and lazy, so I said, oh, they look like stockings. They're pretty good for me. Yeah, they're done. So there's one reason that they got third, and the other reason is this Santa right here. I made the rookiest mistake in the book of cross-stitching. When I was back-stitching at a Brewer game, not really paying attention, you know, watching for foul balls and watching for good things on the field. While I was back-stitching, I didn't pay attention to how many stitches that I did the mouth. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Yep, you can see it a little bit. since I didn't have enough to finish, I thought it would be a good idea in the middle of a Brewer game, and I have nothing else to do. How am I going to finish it? Oh, I should think about it. No, I put the black thread right under the white beard, so you can really see it right in there. And I knew she knew it, because she would sit there and she'd just wipe right where the black string was. So let that be a lesson to you. When you're doing something for the fair, pay attention when you're at a baseball game. So these were from the Cross Stitcher magazine from just this past year, from Doreen Jones. And I also finished the 4th as a backup, and it's a good thing I had a backup because I missed some stitches here, so it's a little bit frayed, so I knew that would not be fair worthy. So the little packer rooting snowman, because any respectful Wisconsinite couldn't. The chart both had the snowman and the polar bear in purple and yellow. And no self-respecting person from Wisconsin can have purple and yellow, so they had to be changed to green and yellow. And I will be going to the Minnesota retreat at the end of the month, so yes, I will be wearing some Packer clothes in enemy territory. So those are that, and I already do have plans for next year's ornaments. Usually it takes a while to find them, but just recently I saw the Leslie Heaton snow globes in Cross Stitch Crazy that will be coming out. And I thought that would be beautiful, especially done in petite treasure braids. It would be beautiful, all sparkly and stuff. So I will be getting that and hopefully starting it soon. But the best thing I did was my pillow. I ended up getting first in the cross stitch category, and it was the Summer Poppy Cushion by Amanda Gregory. And there it is, all finished. I had a finish with me video where I cross stitched outside and thought that was going to be good, and it turned out to be a very boring video where you listen to mosquitoes pass by. So I don't blame you if you didn't watch it. It was boring. Even I tried to stitch with it for a while, and even I got bored and turned it off. But I kept it up. I didn't check it out and delete it. So there is my first place. It was out of 2, but the other competitor is a very, very talented stitcher. She does Ukrainian white work and black work and hardanger. So to beat her was pretty good. So there is my cushion all finished. Like I said in a previous video, I was debating on finishing it in a frame or in a pillow, because if it's too pretty to get cat hair on and sit on a couch, but yet it goes nowhere in my house. So I debated and debated, so it will be a pillow in the closet instead of a frame in the closet. So didn't have to spend too much money to put it in the closet. So the front fabric is just something to match here, and the back fabric is like some leaves in the different colors of blue. And that got beaten out for Grand Champion by a cathedral window quilt square. And the quilt ladies in the next section getting judged were very excited to hear that person with a cathedral quilt, and they all had to run over and ooh and ah over it. So I guess I don't feel too bad getting beat by a quilt. So I'm happy to see that the cross stitch is building at the fair. Usually it's just my stuff and I'll give her a nickname, the Ukrainian lady. It's usually just her and I that are there. Last year we did have one other lady, and she did a lavender and lace piece, and she won Grand Champion, as she should. And the only thing I had in was 3 ornaments. So I wrote them down. There was 1 in the linen category. There were 4 in the Ada category. there was one stocking, not little stockings, but big stocking, and that is actually with every single type of stocking. So it could be a quilted stocking, crocheted stocking, any stocking that you make is all in the same category. And the cross stitch one is happy to say she won. There was one other hand stitchery, and she did a red work piece, which is kind of like black work, but in black work you put it all in little squares, and red work is just kind of like back stitching. And there was also one cross stitch item in the category of any other home decor. And the Ada piece that won and got grand champion was a Heaven and Earth, and it was big. It wouldn't be a design I picked. It didn't. It was a hate, and they finished it. So let's all say that. So now on to whips. I have 1 1/4. I'm saying a quarter because I didn't do much, but you'll see in a minute. The quarter is my Nativity Story Table Runner by Blackberry Lane Designs. And it is a very small picture because it will be very big stitching wise once it is finished. So the only thing I got accomplished was 200 stitches. And I did finish a little bit of I finished the shepherd. I think I did. But I do know I focused mainly on this. And if you haven't watched my first video, I explained in that video that this I call my nervous wreck piece or my anxiety piece because I want the back to be pretty much as perfect as the front because I don't plan on putting a backing fabric on it because I don't want a quilt on it, and it's going to have a lot of space in between the designs. So I'm trying to get the back as perfect as the front. So 200 stitches of constant looking behind it is pretty good progress. And I'm going to be working on it again this weekend. Our state line stitchers will be having another stitch in. And if you're not familiar with that, if you are from Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin or northern Illinois, we do a stitch in the second Saturday of every month in the little town of Clinton, Wisconsin, which you can get to very easily from anywhere from Madison, Milwaukee, Rockford. We even had interest from a lady from Chicago, and it would only be an hour and 30-minute drive for her. So we're slowly building. It's kind of getting... I'm kind of disappointed in the fellow Wisconsinites. So far, we've had a lot of people drive a far distance from Illinois, and I can't even get somebody to come from Delavan who lives 10 minutes away. But it's growing, and hopefully it'll get as big as the Georgia Stitchers down there. But the one whip that I have been working on the most while dealing with the life issues and busyness that's other than my purse project is the $1.25 belt pull. There's the $1.25. And I am up to page 6 and many parts. Some pages have 2 or 3 parts on it. And that is the Jacobian bell pull. And be prepared to be amazed because I am in love with this. Here it is so far. So if I'm talented again, I have finished this center flower. It says it's a flower in the pattern, so I guess we'll have to believe that. So if I'm talented again, I will be putting a video in right now of finishing this. And if not, it was a neat video. It's on my Instagram page, which is under Sporty Stitcher, if you'd like to go see that. So since then, I've, of course, done the leaves, which have road stitches and other specialty stitches. I should write them down for I could tell you. And then this thing here, I don't know what it's actually supposed to be, if it's a leaf or a thorn in the vine, but I'm starting on the daffodils. And I don't know if you can see, but the daffodils in the, like here, they have little specks of gold metallic on it. Oh, it is going to be beautiful when it's done. And this center flower also has a lot of metallics. Ooh, you can see a lot of my back. And hopefully that won't show when I'm done. I love that. Especially how different it is, and you know, it's not just cross stitching, it's a whole bunch of different stuff. And of course, well, who doesn't love a mystery that you don't know what it's going to be until you stitch it up? So those are the big projects I have been working on. I have been working on other small projects that I keep in my purse and travel with. One I can't show because it is the giveaway or a gift swap for the retreat in Minnesota, and I have finished it, and I will be making it as a flat fold, and I will show you a picture of it at my next video. The next one I have been working on was for the cross stitch finish lines mystery sale, where you had to first take a picture of your fabric, and see, it's been a while since my last video, but you had to take a picture of your fabric and then take a picture of your floss and then do 25 stitches each day. And I ended up doing this Joan Elliott Halloween. Come on, focus, there we go, because who doesn't love Joan Elliott, and who doesn't love Halloween? And of course it has a crow, so I will be putting one leg on that crow for Peg. And that is how far I've gotten. And of course, since I am me, you can see I have done some French knots and stuff. Each of my 25 squares that I did because, you know, I couldn't just do 25 squares or 25 stitches each day in the pumpkin, because that would not really show a lot. So I had to overachieve, and I did 25 stitches here in this pumpkin, 25 stitches here in this pumpkin, her part of her hat and her hair, and this ghost right here, because I'm an overachiever. And the majority of it I have had to rip out the back stitching, but so far I've kept this. and probably have to rip out the back stitching. But I even, a little 5x5 square, it would be all fully back stitched. I'm an overachiever. So that is all. Oh, I have a few other things I've been throwing in my purse every once in a while. I got a September thing from Lizzie Kate, and I'm currently working on a card. There's a new group, or a semi-new group, on Facebook about exchanging stitched cards. I'll try to link it down below. So I am working on my October card, and I will insert a picture again next month. So, on to haul. I wasn't able to take too much advantage of the Walmart sale. They really didn't have much floss on sale at our local Walmarts. There were some, but it was the one in Delavan. It was so picked over. It only had some ugly greens left, and floss where they were nice and took off the tags off the DMC. But I did get this kit for $1. It is a little gray tabby. It will be a full coverage piece once it's done, in a 5x7, so that's not bad. But I'm planning, I saw that, and especially I saw it for $1, and I have a horror story involving my aunt. When I graduated with my master's degree, they gave me a nice gift for my graduation. So I stitched them up some bookmarks because they like to read, and I graduated with a library science degree, so I stitched up some bookmarks. They got lost in the mail. I don't know, either it went to the wrong house and they're enjoying their bookmarks, or the mailman's enjoying the bookmarks, but it never got there. So I feel horrible that they never received a nice thank you gift for that nice gift that they gave me. So hopefully I will get started on this soon and stitch it up for her. She is, all the cats that she has ever owned are all gray tabbies. So, some other haul. Of course, my cousin's wedding project. And I did that, I forgot to tell you. I did the stitching on 30 count periwinkle by Weeks Dye Works, and that was kind of a tough fabric to work on, like most of you know. But it was doable. So while getting that fabric, and also to explain a little bit, when I finished the pillow, I compiled a list, a nerdy list, of all of the whips that I own, or not all the whips, all of the patterns and kits and projects that I own that I want to do in the future. Now those aren't including some of the stuff that I do not own, but it ended up being 120. And I put it up on Stitch Mania for the first person to comment with a number would be the one that I was going to stitch. And McKenna was the very first person to answer with the number 74, which I was not very excited for that pattern because it was a 4-foot. I mean, I wanted to do it someday, but with a bell pull that I'm doing now and my table runner I'm doing now, the number 74 was a 4-foot bell pull of the 12 Days of Christmas in a Christmas tree. And then after you stitch all of the green with the Christmas tree in 4 feet tallness, you had a 4-foot tall and over and 4-foot down border of metallic thread. So I was not very particularly excited. And while I was debating on doing that, a lot of people were shocked at McKenna's number. So they all encouraged her to subtract a few numbers. And of course, if we all know McKenna, we know which number that they made her subtract to. So I will now introduce that number, and that is, in the spirit of that number, it is the Kinky Joan Elliott Santa. So to get ready for this Santa, I got a piece of fabric. And this is 32 count Stellar Lugana. So Santa and all his toys for dirty boys and girls will go on there. And of course, like everybody who is going to the retreat or have gone to the Flosstube retreat, I have no clue what I am bringing. I might bring every single thing I have and then stitch just the retreat piece, or I might just, in a mass fury that morning, just pick something and be upset with it and just stitch the retreat piece, or might go to Stitchville and get something, and then, but at least I'll be stitching. So we were driving around one day trying to place flyers for our stitch-in for the State Line Stitchers. And again, if you live in northern Illinois or southern Wisconsin, come on over to Clinton. So I went to an LNS that's the closest to me. It's a nice store. Let's just put it that way. It's not my favorite store, but it's a good store. Any local needlework store is a good store. Let's just put it that way. So to be in the excitement of being in an LNS, of course I had to get some things. So the first one was the pattern that I'm doing for the retreat. And then I also got a Mill Hill Buttons and Beads kit of Indian corn I don't know why. I've never done a Mill Hill kit. I guess I was in the fall mood, and who doesn't like Indian corn? So hopefully I'll stitch it, but I think it might sit in my stash for a long time. The same with this one. I have a space above in my dining room here above my door that I'd like to either put welcome signs or monthly signs. So I got the first month, January, from the Cricut collection. So, surprisingly, I'm now on to save the stitches. And I'm a big thrift store shopper, and usually the only thing I can find are the stuff from the 90s, you know, with the duck or You're a Special Friend, and, you know, kind of cheesy stuff. But I hit the jackpot in Rockford. And I do not know if these are from the stitching store that closed in Rockford, and these are just slowly coming. But it seems like every time we go to the Salvation Army down by the mall, there seems to be a nice cross-stitch piece. I picked all these up. I think I picked all these up at the same time. But there was also a set of 4 ballerinas, and just last week there was a interesting house from San Francisco and a few cross-stitch ducks. There's always something to pick up. So I just leave them, and I'm not the type to say I'm going to just save it just to save it. But these 4 things called my name. And so the first one is a very unique piece. I tried to look it up online by taking a picture of it and putting it in a Google search. And the only thing I could come up was from Russian sites, and putting it on Google Translate like I did to find my Dessins DHC. The only thing I can find is the only word that it routinely translated commonly between the 3 Russian sites was dimensions. So I'm guessing it was a Dimensions Gold or Petites kit. But the stitching here in the square matches the mat that it's framed around. So it's just this nice lady collecting her flowers. So I thought that would be, I have my living room is maroon with flowers. So I thought this would be a nice sitting up on either on my TV stand or on my bookshelf or in my stitching room in the bookshelf. Another bookshelf. Because when you're a librarian, you have 3 different bookshelves in your house. So, another one that I found was this Christmas is Coming, with a matching frame. And it comes with, the tree is nicely beaded with the different ornaments. And then it's got a little bead for the star and a bow, interesting bow bead for this way. I don't know if they didn't put the bow on quite right, or if that's how you're supposed to put the bow on, but it's there. And the funny thing is, I had this in my 1, 2, 3, I think I had something like this in my 1, 2, 3 wish list cart. But it's not the exact one because I can't find any information about it. But it's kind of got a feel kind of like the Good Housewife, like the Live Simply one that I got for 50 cents and finished up from the Salvation Army sale. But it's a nicely done Christmas one that I'll put up. So the next two are very nice. Of course, they're all nice. I guess I'll go from size. Oh. Yeah. Who would get rid of this? Again, I don't know the designer. I tried to take the image search and put it in Google, and it still didn't come up with anything. But it sure does have a prairie schooler vibe, but yet it doesn't have a prairie schooler vibe. It's kind of hard to live. Here, I'll stand up. But it's got different types of flowers and wildflowers and weeds. Of course, you have to have a weed in your garden, so there's a thistle. But this will match in my living room perfectly. And with the reflection, you can now see my living room. But that is a large piece. I think it is done on 14 or 11 count fiddler's cloth, because it's kind of got a brown tint to it. Now the next one isn't cross-stitching, but I appreciate the time and effort that was put in to this, and of course I'm also a type of person that I love to decorate my table. I have tons of different tablecloths and the thing you put, placemats, there we go. So this is an embroidered tablecloth. So it's not the most elaborate design, but somebody took the time to do it. And along with taking the time to do it, they even hemmed their own tablecloth. They didn't buy it pre-made. They did it themselves. So it's a, excuse the trucks going by. It's a large tablecloth with different varieties of the same type of flower. So somebody had a nice project with that. And now it will live on my table. So that is it. As I say, I'm fast and rambly, and it's only 30 minutes, so it's a nice short video with a lot of stuff to talk about. So I promise that I will not wait so long for my next one, even if I have to stay up in the middle of the night or something to finish it. You know, life things, it happens. So I am looking forward to the cross-stitching retreat in Minnesota. I've gotten into geocaching to keep my sanity, since we have to go back and forth to a nursing home and the hospital and the different places. So I've gotten into geocaching, which is a thing where you find Tupperware in the woods and get to sign your name on it. So the Minneapolis area where the cross-stitching retreat is one of the biggest areas for a lot of geocaches. So I'm sort of excited for both, and I had planned on staying the night on Sunday just because I didn't want to make the 6 to 7 hour drive back after stitching all day. So I'm kind of glad I'd made that decision, because then, everybody's going to leave at 2 and I can go geocaching. Or I could just sit there and stitch all the day and all night. So, thank you for watching. And again, I promise I won't make this too long of a I will keep making videos, they were trying to say. I didn't chicken out, see? I'm back. Well, until I see you in November, or, November. See ya. Bye.